What's up, everybody? Welcome to your 6th Java tutorial with me, Travis, at mybringback.com. And what we're going to do in this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you guys to the if and else statements, basically to proofread our user's input and make sure they're actually entering a integer. First, I'm just going to delete this dog stuff because we don't need it. We aren't using it at the moment, and it's easier for you guys to see all the text if it's more condensed like that. Now, the first thing I want to do is just do a couple system outs so the user actually knows what they're supposed to do. So system.out.println, nothing new to you guys there. And within here we're going to say enter an integer. And then we're just going to end it with a semicolon and copy this statement and paste it right below our second scanner object, and this time we're going to say enter a string because we knew that's what they were supposed to do, but they didn't, so we had to kind of define it for them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up that if statement. So right below this scanner, this first scanner for the integer that we're looking for, we're going to set up a little bracket or if else clause. So we're going to say if, and then this is kind of like the while loop that we did. We need something within these parentheses here. So we're going to say if input from user, which is the variable we set up right here. This is the scanner. So it's basically going to take that object. And we're going to say, we're basically going to check to make sure it's an integer. So we can use a method from the scanner class by hitting dot. And when we hit, or hitting period, I don't know, whatever you guys want to say, and we're going to look for a method called hasNextInt. So we're going to click that, and basically this is a true or false statement. I'm going to show you that real quick. A Boolean means true or false. So right here next to it, basically it's going to check if it has an int, it's going to say true. If it doesn't, it's going to have false. So basically that's what that statement means. It's checking the user's input again for if it has an int or not, and then we're going to set within the brackets. So if this statement is true, so if it is an integer, it's going to do whatever else and whatever is within these brackets right here. Else, it's going to do whatever is within this bracket. So if it's not an integer, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of copy and paste, or cut and paste, I should say, those two things within this true. So if the input is true, we're going to say finish. Again, that's what we're looking for down here. Finish is equal to whatever integer they put, and we're going to say enter string. Else, we're going to say int finish is equal to 1. So it's not going to be any fun. It's not going to loop through, and the user isn't going to have any fun. They're going to regret putting in a string instead of an integer because it's only going to print once. And then we're also going to do another print statement and just say something like play by the rules. Enter a string. So there we go. It's kind of an easy way to check if the user put an integer in or not. Again, this is a method from the scanner class, and since this object is a scanner object, we can use those methods from the scanner class. So there we go. We basically have a proofreading. Make sure we don't get any errors within our programs because we never want to have errors. And speaking of errors, you guys can see right here we're getting an error. And what's happening is it's saying finish cannot be resolved to a variable. And you're like, what? We defined finish right here. But what's going on is we define finish within these brackets, which is kind of a sub bracket, or I don't know. We define it within these brackets, so finish will only be able to be recognized within those brackets. So we could say, you know, system out print finish, and it would print you know, our finished variable. But since we're using it we're using the finish variable outside of those brackets, it doesn't recognize it. So an easy way to finish that, or get rid of that error right there. Sorry, it's pretty late. I told you guys I was going to bed after the last tutorial, but I decided to stay up and make one more for you. So sorry if I slur my words and all that stuff. But we need to define this finish variable outside of these if and else clause right here. So we're going to say int finish and just hit semicolon. And now we're getting an error within here because we're trying to redefine what finish is. So we're going to just delete our definition of what finish should be, and now it'll recognize it as this finish. So every time we reference finish, it's still referencing it as an int right here, and the same int variable. So there we go. Now our program should run. I'm just going to check it out, and then I'll kind of describe everything that we've done so far because I haven't really done a review that yet. So it says enter an integer, and we're going to say 7, and then we're going to say enter a string. We're going to say wow, enter. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. 7 times it printed out. Wow, that was awesome. That's crazy. Alright, now let's run it again and say Travis, and it says play by the rules. And you know, I'm like, dang it, I probably should have played by the rules. I'm like, okay, I will, and hit enter, and it only prints it once. I'm like, that wasn't fun. What was I thinking? Why did I put a string instead of an integer? So yeah, our program doesn't have any more errors, and it's pretty good there. Now I'll just kind of talk through everything that we've done real quick. We set up a class called starting point. Within that class, the compiler looks for a method called public static void main, and within its parameters string, and then whatever you guys want to define this as, and then but it has to be an array, but basically it has to have this bracket, right? These two brackets after whatever you guys labeled this as, and then that's what the compiler is going to look for, and that's where it's going to start. So within this method is where the compiler starts. We set up a variable which is an integer, and it's called start. Set it equal to 0. Next we print out on the screen enter an integer. Then we need to get the user's input, so we have to use the scanner variable, and to use the scanner variable we had to import its package or its class name, and we did that up there. Then we defined this variable, or we called this variable input from user, and we set it equal to a new scanner and the system in, so we could get the input from the user. Next we declared a integer called finish. We didn't set it equal to anything, but what we're going to do is we're going to check what the user or the scanner object says. If the scanner object has an integer in it or is an integer, it's going to say finish is equal to the input from the user, and it's again an integer like we defined in the last tutorial, and it's going to say enter a string after that, and it's going to skip this whole else clause. But let's say the user does not put in an integer, it's going to say okay, we're going to skip this clause and go to the else statement, and we're going to say finish is equal to 1 and system out, play by the rules, enter a string. So then we add a new scanner because we want a second input from the user, and again it's a new scanner system in. Now we set up a string variable, and we set this string variable equal to whatever the user put in the second time, and then we added a new line. After that, after we got all the input we needed from the user, we have a start and a finish now, integer. So while the start is less than the finish, it's going to print out whatever the user put in for the second scanner item, which was words. And then it's going to add 1 to the start and loop through as many times as it can before this statement becomes false. And then our program's done. So hopefully that made some sense. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. If it's still unclear, don't worry, just keep going. You guys will get it like you know, ninjas slice wood in half or something. It's gonna be super easy. See you guys then. Peace. Have a great day.